Hey everybody, we're going live, me and Jennifer at Delighted to Meet You. Let me send Jennifer a request to join me. Add Delighted to Meet You. Did the invite go through? Yes, it did. Invite. Okay, we're gonna give her a second and then we'll start. Oh, okay. Um, Hey everyone, ask us anything today. How's it going, everybody? I'm doing great. I was teaching in the morning and then I had a client and then I ate some ground turkey, whipped butter, and now we're gonna get on this live. Kiyoshi Music, what's your favorite, most nutritious food to eat? Ribeye. That's an easy question. Let's see. Let's see, Jen. Okay, Jen sent me a text. I'm not sure. Let me see if I can go check her text, or will that kick me out of the live? Kiyoshi Music, same. Awesome. Hey, I saw you sent me a text, but I was afraid I wasn't sure if it was gonna kick me out of the live if I went to see it. How are you?
No problem. So I might have gotten my own wires crossed, but here we are now
Oh,
together.
okay. I
So
see.
it all
All
worked
right.
out.
Yeah. Let me just one second put this a little bit higher. I don't know if you can see me. I feel like it's a little bit too low. Okay, that's better. Yes, much better. All right. Are you ready?
Perfect. Ready. So I had people ask some questions, some Q&A stuff on my page, and luckily I wrote those down because I won't have access to them since you started the live. But I have 5 questions ready to go, and then the idea behind this, I think, was to do a live Q&A so people can ask
Love
questions
it.
as we're going,
Yes,
right?
let's do it. Yeah.
Okay, great. So so initially, I think, oh, Serena, two of my favorites. Well, you're our favorite too. I was thinking that I would kind of be introducing you, Dr. Zaldivar, and like having you as a guest to celebrate my carnivore anniversary. Now it feels a little funny because I'm the guest, but that's okay. If you're okay with
Oh,
that, let's kind of still go with
so no, that's
that
fine.
mood.
So the live is on both of our platforms, right?
Yes, it is. So it
Okay.
doesn't matter at all. We can absolutely, yeah. And I think this is why I couldn't get connected with you before because you started. We were both so excited we were
Right,
both
right.
starting it.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I didn't okay, so you wanted me to get on your live. I see what you're saying.
Either way,
Okay,
it's
yeah. It
perfect.
doesn't
Here we
matter
are.
because it's on both of our things, so it's fine.
Great. So thank you for having me. Thank you for joining
Absolutely.
me. If it's okay with you, I'll just dive right into the
Mhm.
first question that we
That
got.
sounds good.
Sound good? Okay. So Manelli wants to know, what is your opinion on seafoods? She or he, I guess, has been doing the lion diet for 7 months and wonders if
Yeah,
they should
so
add
it
them.
depends on why you're doing it, right? So if you have an autoimmune condition, and Jennifer, you know that, right? We don't know if you have a food sensitivity. The only way to know is to do a lion diet for at least a month, ideally 3 months, even better 6 months, and then we'll see if we did get some benefit. Then at that point, we know it's something with the food, right? Then we don't know what food is causing that. So you could basically reintroduce some form, let's say shrimp, some form of seafood, let's say shrimp. You do that for a period of time. You get the symptoms back, then you know you have a food sensitivity. So it's an active experience that you have to go through. There is no one answer like, yeah, you can go back and eat all the seafood and you'll be fine. I don't know if you'll be fine because I don't know if you have a food sensitivity. And if you do have a food sensitivity, I don't know to what food you have it to. It's a process. So yeah, that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I've actually been doing that actively. I did the lion
Mhm.
diet for January for that exact reason, to figure out if I was foods. But at the same time, kind of halfway through that, I started trying to increase my protein and decrease fat just a little bit to kind of reach some fitness goals. And I found it a little hard to do on the lion diet because red meat is more fatty. And so, like you said, exactly, depending on your goals, it might be able to add some seafood in because it is higher protein and lower fat. So for me, that's something I'm working toward. And I was recently able to add chicken, which has helped a lot, making it a little bit easier to reach those macros. But I tried adding coffee, which technically isn't coffee anyway, and I had a reaction. So I guess coffee. Yep. I had a lot of, and my chest, I got like a rash on my chest.
There you have it. See? Yep. We don't know until we try.
Exactly. So today I actually am starting eggs, and then seafood will come in a couple weeks. So excellent question. And I mean, we're all going to just be different, and good luck.
Yeah,
I have coffee.
I don't think it gives me any issues, but I just don't do it anymore. It's been 16 months now, caffeine free. So I just don't think about it anymore. It's not even hard, you know? So yeah, I think after the first 30 days, it gets much easier.
Since you weren't having
So I thought it triggered headaches. And I think it did, because since then I haven't had headaches. Maybe once when I was flying to Costa Rica, it was just so many things. It was like we're going on a cruise, we're going to Costa Rica to film the TV show, and then the new semester was starting. Like all those things at the same time happened, and I got one headache, and I did actually have, that's like the only break from the 16-month caffeine free. I did have coffee with cream in the plane because I didn't want to take a drug. So I figured, what's going to relieve this headache? Because I know it's stress induced. So that took care of it in an instant. And the next day, and I was already in Costa Rica filming the show, I didn't have coffee and I didn't even think about it. And it's, I've been doing great since then. Yeah.
That's awesome. Good for you. Well, I hope to be there one day where I don't want it and don't think about it.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of time. Some people get addicted to it more so than others. It depends on all of the associations in your brain that you've made to it. But the less you exercise them, the less prominent those neural pathways will be. And honestly, it's much easier to cut it out than food, because food is everywhere all the time. You have to eat it. Whereas with caffeine, you don't need to eat it. It's not like nutrition. So it's easier in a way to cut that out.
Sure. That's a great point. Okay. Our next question was, what about deli and lunch meat or cold cuts? And she said, I hear they're bad. Also, what about hot
so the
dogs?
reason why people tend to think that they're bad is because of epidemiology, which is not real science. It's the lowest quality type of evidence. No policy should be made based on epidemiological evidence. Unfortunately, the vast majority of nutrition studies are epidemiological in nature. So, you want to keep that in mind. Another thing is that because they have nitrates, we've been told nitrates are linked to all kinds of issues, and it can cause cancer. And nobody can make that statement because, again, we don't have randomized controlled trials that can establish causation, right? We only have correlation. And so that also is inaccurate to say. Another major thing, I was actually just talking about this with my client this morning. Because she was freaking out. Her primary care physician just put out on his social media how, processed foods, and they've got nitrates, and you're going to have all kinds of diseases if you keep eating them. And she was like, I'm feeling so great on carnivore. I know this is what I'm supposed to be eating. But, it messes with your head, right? When you see different doctors putting different kinds of conflicting information. And unfortunately, the truth of the matter is that you have nitrates in hundreds to 200 milligrams amounts in vegetables, whereas you have nitrates in processed meats in the amount of less than a milligram, sorry. So 0.5 milligrams in a processed meat versus 200 milligrams in a vegetable of nitrate. So how can we blame the processed meat and the nitrates in them for any health condition when clearly it is an astronomically higher amount in vegetables? It's found in much higher amounts in vegetables, right? It just makes no sense. Again, it's like a lack of knowledge in this area.
That is really interesting. Now, I will say, just from the practical perspective, I don't eat those things a lot. And when I do, I feel just not quite as good, not quite as good as eating steaks. But, when you're traveling and it's like you're going to go to a gas station and your choice is a blueberry muffin or pepperoni, I mean, I think that's a
100%.
much better
yeah,
choice.
Of course. I think we all intuitively know fresh meat is always going to be the best, right? A ribeye is always going to be the ideal thing to go for, but like you said, any kind of meat is going to beat any kind of carbohydrates out there. And I know what I'm going to choose, and I know you know what you're going to choose, and there is no real data to tell us that that's actually that detrimental for us. It's all correlation, and we shouldn't be basing policy and dietary recommendations on that.
Yeah. Good point. There's a question in the comments. Reacting to many foods with inflammation, rash, and itchiness all over. Thinking of starting carnivore diet to see if it helps. Do you recommend doing lion diet first before carnivore?
Yeah, I think you'll get your answer a lot quicker. Like, why do a carnivore? And maybe you're reacting to eggs and dairy, and then we don't know, or pork, those are things that people could react to. So depending on your level of motivation, just do a lion diet, 30 days, maybe even 90 days, even better. In a lot of cases, it takes at least 2 months to see drastic reactions. But I know that a lot of people have had success with only 30 days. So just keep that in mind. Between 30 to 90 days, do a lion diet, and then afterwards, you can start to reintroduce things like pork or chicken. I would introduce the eggs and the dairy last. I will introduce all the other carnivore foods first, and then I will introduce as a last resort, eggs and dairy, and see if these skin issues come back. A lot of times they might. This doesn't mean that you'll never ever be able to consume them. It might be that your just gut needs to heal for a little period of time. So that's another thing that can help people know that maybe they can go back to eating eggs, but at least they have to go through a period of a year or two just healing their gut until they can reintroduce that.
So with the typically less sort of foods that have issues like pork, chicken, seafood, would you say just add them all at once?
You obviously, you would have to do them one at a time, right? Because you want to know which is it, right? So let's say you decide I'm gonna reintroduce chicken. So have a bunch of chicken for 3, 4, 5 days in a row, and then see if any symptoms appear. If no symptoms appear, you're fantastic, you're great, you don't have issues with chicken, you can go back to eating it and adding it to your meal plan. Then you introduce, let's say, pork, bacon, whatever it is, 4 or 5 days in a lot of high quantities, and see, if symptoms happen or not. And then, the cycle goes on and on and on.
Okay, very good. And then the next question in the comments was 1 month in carnivore now, but my knees feel like they're inflamed.
What feels inflamed?
Knees.
1 month into carnivore and her knees feel inflamed sometimes. I wonder if that's a case of oxalate dumping that's happening really, really soon. Usually it happens a little bit later, 2 weeks in. You could start having minor symptoms, and then, at the month, some people after 6 months or 2 years, they'll have an episode of oxalate dumping. I would look into that. I would look into Sally K. Norton's work. She's written books about that. Her website, I've interviewed her on my YouTube channel. So there's a lot of information on that. Most of the time, I would just tough it out and just allow a few days to pass by. Oftentimes, those symptoms go away.
If she's including dairy and eggs in her diet, would you recommend
Yes,
maybe
that's
eliminating this
yeah.
for a while?
Yeah, that's a very good point because sometimes you go carnivore and now all of a sudden you start increasing your consumption of eggs and dairy. What if you had a food sensitivity anyway to begin with those and now you're eating them at a high frequency and it's causing issues? Good catch.
Yeah. So a lot of people over the last year have asked me if I include dairy specifically in my diet as I was healing my psoriasis, and my answer was always yes. I have dairy, it's wonderful, I love it. But then whenever I went off my immunosuppressant medication 5 months ago, I finding a lot more sensitivity to dairy. So I've now eliminated it. I likely will not be adding it back. But I just want to sort of say that to anyone who might have heard me say, no, dairy's great. Maybe not so much. I think it was being
Yeah.
masked a little bit by my medication. And so now, fortunately, I don't have it, but
Do
I'm
you
just
feel
getting used to
like
that,
your
and it's
symptoms
fine.
have improved in this month on a lion diet?
Yes, because so I've been off my medication 5 months. For the first 4 months I was off of it, I was just still eating a regular carnivore diet, including dairy and eggs and all the things. And I was just having
Mm,
some minor itching, but enough to make me worried about, oh my gosh,
right.
what if my psoriasis comes back? That would be awful. So that's do the lion diet. And within the first week, I didn't notice a difference. I actually had to stop drinking this sparkling water I really like, and then it completely stopped. So I guess the water, I mean, I'm very sensitive, I guess, to just, who knows, the carbonation or maybe the plastic bottle that the water was in, because it was plastic. So then I had several more weeks of no itching, no symptoms at all. And then I tried coffee, came back, and then I tried chicken, and I haven't had any trouble with chicken. So it's just kind of been like a very interesting and unexpected, like, okay, this you can't have, this you can, this you can,
Wow.
this you can. Yeah, and I don't know, I wonder if some of this is a little bit
The
inherent,
only way to know is to
like
do
I
those
think you can.
over and over again, like in a while, in a couple of months, you could try the sparkling water again and see, does it actually cause you issues? That same sparkling water that you were having. That's yeah, it's really active learning that we have to do with what we're doing and with functional medicine in general, this is why mainstream conventional medicine is so easy. You just go, you don't have to be an active participant in your health. You're just like, okay, give me the pill, I'm gone. But of course, we know that that is not really treating the root cause, and the root cause is just festering and getting worse and worse over time. So that's what we have to do, unfortunately, for anything that's worth having and that's rewarding is going to be, something we have to fight for.
Yeah, agreed. And I've just found I've had to be very patient, like not expect anything really quick with this when I was clearing my skin, when I'm trying to lose weight, when I'm trying to add things back in and get back to what I think is normal diet. Like I just have had to take my timeline off the table and just
Yeah,
take it as it
yeah,
comes,
that's
kind
so
of.
true. Yeah, and that's what I do with my clients all the time as well. I have to um, reshape their perspective on the timeline of things, but it's great, just the fact that you're off the drugs is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, if I had to be on strict lion diet forever, I would do it. It's really all. There's just a few things I miss. Like I'm excited to have eggs and bacon and chicken and seafood, but I mean steaks,
No,
I mean you can't go
and
wrong
then
with
your
steaks
body
and lamb.
composition will always be in tip-top shape. Yeah, you don't even have to try.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's been for sure. All right, the next question is about exercise. What advice can you offer on HIIT? Specifically, how
HIIT
many
or
days a
high
week?
intensity interval training, right? Which is when you go hard and then for let's say anywhere between usually 30 seconds. Sometimes you can push a little bit longer. 30 seconds, all out sprint, and then you do light jogging or walking to get that heart rate back down a bit, recover faster, and then you do more sprints. I actually did my dissertation on HIIT, the effect of a 20-minute HIIT exercise bout on markers of sugar addiction. So yeah, always talking about addiction ever since I was in my 20s. So yeah, the recommendation would be 3 days a week, 20 minutes of HIIT 3 days a week if you are experienced. And if you're thinking about HIIT, you're already experienced. You're not a beginner. You're not a novice. I wouldn't recommend somebody who hasn't been able to jog or walk for long distances to, start running. Just start, walking, then jogging, and then you can start running. And then if you don't want to do a full-blown running session, then do it in HIIT, because then it'll compress the amount of time that you would need to gain the cardiovascular benefits and the body composition benefits.
And so was it helpful in your dissertation
Yes,
with
it
the
was.
sugar addiction
It did help.
specifically?
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Here's a question from the comments. Is it okay to fast on a carnivore diet as early as 37 days within starting?
Is it okay to fast on a carnivore diet early as of 30? Okay, like after 37 days on it? Yeah, I don't see why not. I think 37 days is a good enough time for you to have adapted to ketosis. Giving your gut a break is also always helpful. And just, pay attention to your electrolytes, right? The sodium, magnesium, potassium. Make sure you get an electrolyte mix, ideally unsweetened, because you don't want to kickstart that addiction back again. But yeah, totally, you can do that.
And then where do you, I love this question. I want to know too. Where do you get your calcium from when you're on a
That's the
carnivore
thing.
or
So
lion diet?
a lot of people would say, well, eggshells have calcium, you can get it from there. Here's what I would say. The dietary recommendations are based off of the general population within the context of a carbohydrate-containing diet, right? So all the DRIs, the dietary reference intakes, the RDAs, basically are the recommendations for each of the nutrients. They are based on a carbohydrate containing diet. And we know that our needs for vitamins and minerals vary wildly when we are eating our ancestral or species-specific diet, which is the carnivore diet. So for example, case in point would be vitamin C, right? If you're eating any form of carbohydrate, the glucose is going to block the glucose because it looks so similar to vitamin C as a chemical structure. Because of this molecular mimicry, the glucose is going to block the receptors on the surface of your digestive lining. So your enterocytes, that single line of cells that lines your gut, has the receptors on them. And so the glucose is going to block it, because it is using the same receptor to get absorbed into your blood. So by competitively inhibiting the absorption of vitamin C, actually you now require far more vitamin C to override this blocking that's happening with glucose. Remember, if you're having a glass of orange juice, it's got around at least 50, 60 grams. Let's see, 30 grams. 30 grams to 45 grams of carbohydrates. I'm talking gram amounts, and it's got maybe like 70 to 100 milligrams vitamin C. So the vitamin C is in milligram amounts. The glucose is in gram amounts. So you have a lot more of the glucose, which is very similar to vitamin C in the structure. And so it's going to very easily competitively inhibit the vitamin C. And so this is why you see the recommendations for vitamin C set at between 70 to 90 milligrams per day. And that's because that's how much vitamin C you're going to need to override the potential deficiency in vitamin C you're going to create on a carbohydrate-containing diet. Hence why when people follow a carnivore diet, we're not seeing scurvy, right? You only need you need 10 milligrams basically per day of vitamin C to prevent scurvy. Why aren't we seeing scurvy in carnivores? That's because our needs for vitamin C is dramatically lower.
That was such a good explanation. I've heard it before, but that was like, I actually really get it. So thank you for that.
So for
That's
calcium,
awesome.
so that to go back to calcium, I forgot that part. So you've got the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics recommending 1,000 milligrams of calcium per day for adults, and you've got Harvard's Healthy Eating Plate, which they're always criticizing, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics and the USDA's dietary guidelines, because they're saying that food industry plays a role, which of course it does, in shaping the dietary guidelines, right? So Harvard's Healthy Eating Plate, or Harvard School of Nutrition, School of Public Health, which houses the nutrition department, they recommend 600 milligrams at best, like a maximum of 600 milligrams of calcium per day. So it's like half the amount that the USDA and the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics recommends. And that's because there are studies that show that the higher calcium intake you have, the greater the chances of prostate and ovarian cancers, right? Not only that, you got to remember something. Calcium is base, it's a basic, it's base, right? And so when you're consuming it, it's going to neutralize your stomach acid, HCl. You need a strong stomach when you're eating meat. You need a lot of HCl to activate the digestive enzymes. So the more calcium you're eating, there's a chance that you might be slowing down and upsetting your digestion because that calcium is neutralizing the HCl or the stomach acid, which means now you're going to eat the meat and you're going to feel like you're having indigestion. So I would, keep that in mind as well.
So basically, don't worry too much about calcium if you're eating animal-based products.
This is our species-specific diet. None of our ancestors had osteoporosis back when they ate. Oh, and all they ate was meat. They were taller, their bones were much stronger. And the moment we shifted away from that and started eating plant foods, all of a sudden our bones were more rickety and diseased. And you can see a classic demonstration of that. Just a simple Google search will show you articles by the Smithsonian Magazine and a bunch of websites that, for like in layman's terms, that exposes everything we know about how we got weaker after stopping the carnivore diet. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about that.
Okay. That's a great segue into a great question somebody asked. This poor person was in a bad car accident, broke many bones. Will the carnivore diet help them heal
Nothing
faster?
helps you recover faster than dropping inflammation drastically in your body. And so what is the single fastest, easiest, best way to drop inflammation? You're eating your species-specific diet. Anything else is going to introduce some level of inflammation. So just, I would recommend going on a lion diet.
And you already mentioned, I mean, you're going to be getting the most nutrient-dense vitamins and minerals and all that, and they're going to actually be bioavailable and not blocked. So absolutely. Now, I can say, as a person who works in the hospital, I work with people like this all the time that just got in a car accident and have 2 broken femurs and a broken neck and all that. And it's like, at first, if they're intubated, they're getting tube fed, which is just sugar, basically. And then when they're eating food, it's like, okay, here's your pancakes and your banana and your orange juice. And it's just so awful. So I try to squeeze in when I can, like, hey, you want to get some chicken for lunch or some eggs? And the omelets are really good here. As just kind of promote protein at least. But it's
I know.
an uphill
It's so funny.
So
a lot of my students at Miami-Dade College are actually on the nursing track, and some are dietetics. So I get like a good solid, maybe 50% of my students every semester that are doing nursing. And I always give them a disclaimer at the beginning of the semester. It's like, this class is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's going to be the best thing you ever take. On the other hand, you're going to go, if you're going to work in a hospital setting, it's going to be brutal, because knowing what you know and seeing the actual practice, it's hard. It's like, so I feel for you. I really do. I know when I was working at the University of Miami in research projects, I would get into like arguments with doctors, and they don't even know. They don't even know. I remember this medical doctor, she was doing her residency, and we're all together having lunch, us, her, me, and a bunch of other PhDs that we're all working on the same research. She had no idea, because she's constantly like pushing, trying to like say little comments here and there about like how butter is going to clog your arteries and whatever. So one day I was in the mood. So I was like, oh, really? So why don't you tell me, so what do you think causes heart disease? And like we went into it, and eventually it was like really, honestly, I felt so bad for her. It was so humiliating for her in front of everybody. She didn't even know that LDL had subfractions. She had no idea what small dense LDL was, intermediate density LDL. She had no clue, because they don't teach them. They don't focus on the physiology. They focus on the pharmacology, right? It's just high cholesterol, pop a statin, end of story. And it's, it's sad.
It was so sad. I hope we're moving forward.
Yeah.
We'll see, I guess. Do you think we're
as at a snail's at a snail's pace, because just there's too much money. I mean, you can see, you already know we're getting censored, you know, left and right. I can't talk anything about this, you know. I already got censored on my YouTube channel. I have warning on my. It wasn't even something. It was the only thing that I was saying is that, hey, you can actually support your immune system. You know, there's probably a reason why me and my hubby haven't been sick for 10 years. maybe the immune system is something you could do something about. And it was a whole lecture about how to support your immune system, vitamins and minerals and things like that. And it got flagged just because it had the C word in the title. So since then, I backed down, and I will not ever bring that up, because, you know, if we get censored to the point where we get deplatformed, which happens very, very quickly on these social media platforms, then I cannot reach anybody, you know. And then what how am I really benefiting anybody if I have zero platform? So we're being censored left and right, because, you know, what we're talking about, the carnivore diet, or what functional medicine doctors are talking about, it doesn't make as much money. Right? It doesn't make as much money as if I were to be like, hey, balance control, you know, energy balance, you know, just calories in, calories out. It's fine. You can have your Coca-Cola. And there are a lot of people who actually will say that. So
oh yeah. Okay, next question. What is the best way to recover from an
off-plan day? Just go, I say just jump right in. So I know in the past I've had some success in like dipping my toes, doing keto for a few days, and then cutting down the carbs, and then removing all addictive stuff, and then doing carnivore. I don't recommend that anymore. And I think if you're having trouble jumping right back in to a carnivore diet, you're not tying that carnivore diet to a bigger goal, something you really, really have an intense desire for. If you really want something, I don't care how hard it is, you're going to do it. You're going to accomplish that. So you have a problem with desire, not being clear. And by the way, you can build desire around things. You know, it's not just about leaving it up to chance and feeling like, yeah, I have a desire to, for example, in my case, I love to sing, right? You know that already. It's not just about feeling that little intuition that tells you that, it's actually growing it. You have to nurture that. You have to constantly be watching performances, constantly be looking to watching documentaries, educating yourself on that, actually doing it, right? That's how you grow desire. The more you engulf yourself in it, your desire to become that goal, to achieve that goal, grows and grows and grows. The greater your desire, the easier it is for you to stick to your diet. And so my question is, what is holding you back? What is it that you are ignoring? What kind of intuitive sense that you already know you have that you're just trying to stifle because you think it's unrealistic, or you think that people are going to laugh at you, and you don't want to be, you don't want people to see you in your initial stages as you're getting better and better, you know? And it's a lot of mindset, a lot of psychology. I work a lot with that. And the one thing that I would say is that you wouldn't have the urge if you didn't already have the goods to make it happen. Why is it that for me, it is performance singing? Why isn't it coding? Why don't I have the urge to learn how to code? Why isn't it to become an astronaut? I mean, there's so many things out there. Why is it that this is the thing that I'm attracted to? It's because my subconscious mind knows that I can do it, and it knows my potential better than my conscious mind. And so ask yourself, what is that little voice in your head that, you know, when you're listening to it, you know it excites you, right? And then see, why aren't you going all in? Why aren't you following it, right? And usually it's just limiting beliefs, fear of other people's judgments, and you don't want to be seen starting small.
I love that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Little pep
I got
talk.
a lot of those inspo stuff. Yeah.
I have more question that was asked ahead of time, so we'll do that, and then there's some more in the comments here. The last question that was asked previously was, well, basically, it was more of a statement. She said she just started and she feels alone.
Sending you a
from that.
group hug. Here we are. You know, follow all of our accounts, join our lives. I know a lot of Bella, Steak and Butter Gal, Dr. Anthony Chafee, Dr. Kills, they do lives, they do group meetings all the time. I don't know if I'm going to do a group meeting. I'm thinking about it. I'm just trying to see the logistics of it because I'm getting so many coaching clients. It's getting a little overwhelming. So I'm thinking maybe like offering that as well. So the point is we have a lot of options all over the, you know, Dr. Ken Berry goes live with his wife, Nisha. So, you know, just go all in and expose yourself. Oh, Rivero.com as well. Dr. Sean Baker's website, they do daily meetings. So, you know, there are so many options. You are bound to find somebody that works, you know, someone's schedule that works with your schedule, and maybe do multiple ones depending how much support you want. Also, another thing, if I'm working on a goal and I'm feeling alone or lonely in that, I'll just listen to YouTube videos around that topic nonstop. I'm constantly listening to content all the time. If I'm cooking up a steak, I have it. I have the YouTube video, and I do it at twice the speed. That's another hack for the entrepreneurial / productivity nerds out there. You know, you can speed it up, and so you get so much more information. Dr. Saiwas, yes, great resource. I've listened to a lot of his content. He's on point as well. So there's so much. I'd say like immerse yourself, full immersion, go all in. That's the only way you're going to accomplish any goal. You know, you can't, if you're wishy-washy, there's something there in the mindset and the psychology, you don't really want it. And I know you're going to tell me, well, what do you mean? Because I used to be that person until I really completely surrendered to following my dream. And I can guarantee you will feel a weight lifted off of you when you surrender to the call. It's calling you, and you know what it is. And if you don't, then expose yourself to multiple other activities so that you figure out what is that thing that gives you that little sensation, and then grow that desire. Don't wait for it to grow by itself.
Yeah, and like you were saying, just the community of your peers too is so helpful. I mean, just following different people and interacting in comments, and I mean, you'll make all these new friends. They're all over the world, and you may never meet them in person.
1,000%. I feel so supported in this carnivore community that I didn't expect it. Like for me, I didn't start thinking of that. I was just sharing my life and sharing, you know, what I eat and stuff. And all of a sudden, as I transitioned into carnivore, you know, I started realizing, wow, because it can feel very lonely as when you first started, but then very quickly you realize you're definitely not the only person. There's a gazillion people out there that are, you know, just so excited about carnivore because it gives you a sense of redemption. You feel like you're a rebel for doing that, and you feel like, wow, everything that you've been through, all the official guidelines, all the doctors, they led us astray, and now I feel there's a sense of like almost coming across magic in a way, you know, that there is this school of thought that actually works, that going back to our species specific diet is actually a cure for the vast majority of things that people are dealing with on a daily basis. So I don't know, it just elicits strong emotions in us, I guess, and we band together.
Yeah, definitely. This rebel.
Yeah. You have to be a rebel if you want to be healthy in the United States in this day and age, probably even all over the world. You have to be a rebel.
That's a very good point.
I'll put it as an Instagram reel.
Okay. If I'm trying to lose weight, does eating the fatty food, as in the fat trimmings, does it get in the way, or is it okay to keep consuming? So is eating extra
if you're trying
good if you're
lose weight, can you eat fat? Yes, as long as you're creating caloric deficit. You still want to track on a carnivore diet. You still want to create a caloric deficit. And I know, I get it. There's a lot of talk around us that it doesn't matter. Just focus on the diet. What I would take away from that is just focus on the main message, which is when you eat the right foods, it's hard to overeat. Yes, that's true. But calories still matter. You still want to use a food scale. This is basically how to get results for all my clients, right? because they all, first of all, try to just do carnivore. I'm not going to track. Carnivore is going to allow me to lose weight. I'll be fine. And then they start gaining weight because it's very easy to eat. I had a client who was getting 1,000 calories from bacon in the morning, not realizing how much fat bacon actually had, how many calories she was eating. So there you go. There's your calorie deficit for the day. Gone. You haven't even started the day. So little tweaks here and there. That's usually how I keep the ball rolling. And I love carnivore because I feel like it's just so easy for me to get results for my clients. It's like dropping 2 pounds easy per week without feeling hunger, because you're in that fat adapted state all the time. But we still do that with tracking. I have them use MyFitnessPal. I check it. A lot of times they think they're following the plan, and then I realize that they're not tracking right. And so we have to adjust and have them understand that how many calories are found in an ounce of 85% ground beef versus how many calories are found in 93% lean ground beef. It's different, and it adds up over a period of a week or 2 weeks. That's 1 pound that you didn't lose just from tiny little things like that, you know, and it doesn't really affect the taste that much. So we do the food scale, we do the MyFitnessPal. I check on theirs, they share it with me, and I see it every single day. Every single time. It's something, there's always troubleshooting to be made, and that always kind of kickstarts the weight loss to keep rolling.
Okay. So in this case, adding fat trimmings, which is something I love, that might be the place where they're losing their calorie deficit.
Yeah.
If
yeah, and then when you go, you can include it, but just include it and count the calories and make sure it's fitting into your caloric allowance for the day. And then you're going to realize is that maybe it's too much fat. If it's for some people, they'll do better with lower fat, more protein as they're losing weight, and then we can raise the fat back up again. It's highly variable depending on your satiety, how you're feeling. You know, some other people, like for me, I feel like I'm doing 70% fat, 30% protein, completely fine. I'm not hungry, you know, that's pretty high fat. It's working for me. So it depends. We have to try both things. But I think the biggest thing really, honestly, is just the mindset. It's having a real goal and a desire for something that you'll do whatever it takes to get there. I think that's the real determinant whether or not you're going to stick to the diet long term or not.
Yes. Okay, this question, does the calcium issue apply if you consume dairy with meat? So I think, well, maybe I thought maybe they meant like, is it inhibited the absorption? But
so
maybe
calcium,
not.
so maybe not butter, because butter, like 1 tablespoon of butter has only 3 milligrams of calcium, whereas 1 cup of milk has 300 milligrams of calcium. So 3 milligrams in butter versus 300 milligrams in a cup of milk. Of course, the milk is going to be a much bigger problem, inhibiting your digestion of a steak if you're having it with the steak. So I wouldn't do it with high calcium dairy. I can easily keep the butter or the ghee for sure. Cheese is half and half because it's still pretty dense in calcium. So yeah, maybe not even if you have things like reflux where you have a state of a low stomach acid because you're having reflux or you're having any kind of digestive distress, I wouldn't do dairy. Yeah.
Okay. Doc, please talk about ankylosing spondylitis.
Anything that ends with itis is inflammation. How do we deal with inflammation? Lion diet, ideally. Maybe carnivore diet for most people is going to be like 90% of the benefits you're going to get on a carnivore diet that's relaxed. We're still having the cheese, we're still having the bacon, the eggs, the pulled pork. All of those are my favorites. You know, you can have all those things and you're going to get 90% improvement. Now, when we have autoimmune conditions, then we have to do Lion diet. So my client is reversing, literally her markers for lupus is going down and down and down every time she gets a lab test, right? And so this is because we're doing an autoimmune version of carnivore, meaning a Lion diet, with a little bit of pork here and there. And it's still working, you know. Now, if I get a stall, then it'll be like, okay, it's going to be a strict Lion diet, nothing but beef or lamb, and that gets us moving. So I say start with a carnivore, regular carnivore for 30 days. You're going to get massive benefits. And like kind of like how it happened with you, right? Psoriasis is also autoimmune. So you got massive benefits, right? And then you realize like maybe I can do a little better control by doing line diet. Then you did the line diet. So that's a good way to go about it as well.
Yeah, I think for people that can't stick to a lion diet right off the bat, like I couldn't, starting full carnivore was more helpful for me to get, you know, off all the sugar and processed foods and all that. And then once that was no longer a problem, then I could really constrain down to the lion diet.
Yeah, I don't, yeah, when I first started carnivore a few years ago, I was like, oh my God, am I really doing this? Am I really only eating meat? So yeah, I don't think I would have been able to jump. I mean, remember, I've been brainwashed. You know, I mean, I did the whole thing, the bachelor's, the master's, the internship, the PhD. Not only just academics in terms of me attending courses, it's also me working in the field. So it was very hard. So in a way, I'm kind of jealous of people who haven't been brainwashed like me. It's my students. I'm so jealous for you, from you, because it's like they're getting all this information at 18. Can you imagine if I got this information, I did a carnivore diet at 18? Whew. My life would have been different right now. You know, I definitely wouldn't have wasted 10 years up until I got my PhD for what?
Yeah. So are you teaching them this stuff, even though I'm assuming the school doesn't necessarily love that?
That's right. So obviously there's like basic stuff, right? That I have to give them the basic science about, you know, what are carbs, what's fiber, like the definitions, the basic, how does the digestive system work? They're basic stuff. But then it's a flipped classroom. So I have recorded all my lectures, so they just watch it on the weekend. And then when we meet, I'm not lecturing, I'm discussing. It's all Q&A, ask me anything. Let's talk about these different topics, and I'll like show them all kinds of stuff. I'll show them a little bit about the history of the American Heart Association, how it was established, the history of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, you know, just educational stuff. So, and so it's all Q&A, and obviously you as a professor, you have a right to share your opinion, and obviously I have a right to share my thoughts on the whole thing, and it's also, you know, your First Amendment right? You have to you can share information about how the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics works hand in hand with the food companies, how the American Heart Association to this day still recommends the most toxic inflammatory oils as a healthier oil. Right? Because they were literally put on the map by Procter & Gamble with that $1.5 million donation in order to promote their cottonseed oils, which was a waste product that they had. They just wanted market share. So yeah, that would be my answer.
For you, I mean, you said things are changing at a snail's pace, but I feel like the pace may pick up if they're having teachers.
Yeah, but I'm probably the only instructor in the whole world teaching this, so I hope there is more. Maybe I don't know about them. I hope so. I really do, because it's a real threat to humanity, to our existence as a species here on Earth, if we keep going down that hole, you know?
Absolutely. Jesselyn said she had put a question in the question box. Do you have your end?
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I do have 7 questions here. Jesselyn, did you say? Okay.
It was
Jesselyn asked us, I am 3 weeks into carnivore and I feel really good. However, I am not seeing the scale move at all. Is this normal in the beginning? No, it is not normal. You're not in a caloric deficit. You need to do the math, and you need to figure out why you're not in a caloric deficit. It's not normal not to drop weight very easily on a carnivore diet. SB, madam, how to cure nasal polyps? Polyps have been known, all kinds of polyps have been known to be reversed on a carnivore diet. I would give that a shot. Some things might require mechanical intervention, but then the carnivore diet can prevent that from happening in the future. Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't want to take over. You want to ask me? Okay. Let's see. What else do we have? We've got. It's loading my questions. If you can have them on your end, you can definitely help me out. Yeah.
Okay. And I can't see them. I don't think. Oh yes, I can. Yes, I can. So
again,
can we have eggs?
It depends, right? Do we have an autoimmune condition that might potentially be caused by a food sensitivity to eggs or dairy? Then in that case, the only way to find out is to do an elimination diet, like a lion diet, 30 to 90 days, and then we reintroduce eggs, only eggs, nothing else, so that we don't have any contamination of the data. So we reintroduce only eggs for a few days, and then we see are the symptoms, did the symptoms come back? That means you have a food sensitivity to eggs. That means for you personally, you shouldn't be having eggs, but maybe you can have, you know, other things. Maybe you can have dairy, maybe you can have all kinds of other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've even heard sometimes people are more sensitive to the whites. So I'm adding eggs back in this week, and I'm starting with just the yolks. And I just had them today. So far, so good, but we'll see after a few days. And then I'll add the whole egg.
Think about it this way. The egg is the baby, right? It's the baby of the chicken. Do we really think there's zero defense chemicals in eggs? I was reading up on this. It's called, it is a fish that, because we were going to go here in Ocala to like the national reserves, or I don't know if I'm even saying that right, like a forest thing. I'm so not outdoorsy. The forest thing. We were gonna go there and, you know, do some kayaking in the lake with the gators and everything. So I was I was terrified. So I was just trying low-key to dissuade my hubby from going there, just pulling up Wikipedia. Did you know there's 1,000 black bears? Did you know that? So in my research, I came across this species of fish that looks very similar to gators. I forget the name of the fish. It's a fish, but literally like the nose, it has like a long nose that looks like a gator. It's cute, funny, and at the same time scary. So what I discovered is that their eggs are highly toxic. So when they lay eggs, if you eat them, like, you could die. And I've always had this thought. It's like, you know, plants, they put self-defense chemicals in their babies, which are the fruits and the seeds and the nuts. Why wouldn't the same thing happen? Garfish, yeah, I think that's the one, right? So why wouldn't the same thing happen as well in regular eggs, right? Because this is of course, now the chicken is going to try and protect it, but it's not a complete kind of protection. Do you really think there is zero self-defense in that egg? So something to think about.
Yeah, I've never heard anyone say that, but that seems really reasonable. Tiny asked, this is back to needing a calorie deficit. Is the calorie deficit based on your BMR? How do you determine how many calories someone should eat? So I use the
Mifflin-St Jeor Equation. It's based on the two researchers that developed this equation, Mifflin-St Jeor. And the reason I use that because it is more accurate than the more commonly used one. So if you go on the online calculator, they're going to use the Harris-Benedict equation, which overblows the amount of calories that you think you're burning. So I like to use a Mifflin-St Jeor. That's going to give you their basal metabolism. Then on top of that, it depends. So some clients can do 10,000 steps. That's the equivalent of 5 miles, right? Which is like around 80 calories per mile. So if they can do that, then I'll add the total amount of calories. Maybe it's an extra 300 calories or 375 calories just from getting their steps in. So I'll add that to their basal metabolism that I got from the Mifflin-St Jeor equation. Okay, so now we've got those two things. Then I'll add the thermic effect of food, which is anywhere between 5 to 30%. I use 10%. There are different factors that influence what percent you're gonna use. But the thermic effect of food is a percentage of the total amount of calories that you eat for the day, and that refers to the amount of energy that you actually burn trying to digest, break down, and absorb and store the nutrients. So I use 10%. So then if I'm going to give them, let's say, a 1,500 calorie for the day, then I'll do 1,500 times 0.1, which is the 10% of 1,500. And then I'll add those calories to, let's say 150 calories, I'll add them. So now you'll have 1,500 calories basal, plus 150 calories thermic effect of food, plus 375 calories for the number of steps that they're getting. And then if they're working out on that day, let's say strength training. So that's, let's say, an extra 100 calories or 150 calories. I'll add it to that. So now I know the total amount of calories they've burned for the day. I'll also add usually 300 calories to everybody as a kind of like a running errands. just walking in and out, using the bathroom, going to the kitchen, all that kind of stuff, that burns around 300 to 500 calories, depending on your size. The smaller you are, you burn less. The bigger you are, you burn more. I'll add all those up, and then I'll minus. So let's say I ended up with 2,700 calories or 2,500. Let's say 2,500 calories total calories burned. I like to go minus 700. So I'll give them to start a 1,800 calorie diet. So that means I've created a 700 calorie deficit. And usually I get, for most people, 2 pound weight loss per week. So hopefully that wasn't too complicated. But then we do sometimes, adjustments with the exercise, and that influences the calories a little bit. But at the end of the day, those are all theoretical. I would say 90% of the time they work from the first go. If they don't work in the first week, then I know that something in the math or with my estimation of how many calories you're burning during the walks or during the strength training is not 100%, then what I'll do, I'll just adjust the calories, or I'll adjust the intensity of their workout or the duration of their workout. That's really the gold standard. You never really know how many calories somebody burns until you put it into practice. What I just explained is good start. But the truth is you have to at least do 1 week. If you drop weight, your math is on point. If you don't, there's something off with the math, and you do some adjustments with either the physical activity expenditure or how many calories one is eating, depending. That goes into the, what does the client prefer?
And do you expect them to lose weight every week? And if
Yes,
they don't, you
yes.
adjust
There's no
for the
reason why
next week?
they shouldn't be losing
Okay.
1 to 2. Usually it's 2 pounds. It's rare that it's only 1 pound a week. Yeah, 2 pounds a week, I think. And I generally, I do have a lot of men that I work with, but I would say a lot more women. So men could lose way more. I have again, how much weight do you have to start with? So I have a client who has a lot of weight to drop. He's dropping 2 pounds a day, and I'm like, whoa, that's amazing, So, but as you get closer and closer and closer to your ideal body weight, it slows down a little bit. The cool thing with carnivore, it does not slow down that much compared to any other kind of diet.
And then when they're at their maintenance weight, you just have them add back calories.
Exactly. Then once they're achieved, then we just raise the calories. Ideally, we raise them from fat, the fun places. Because as you're losing weight, your body's tapping into your own fat stores. You don't need to get extra fat from the diet. You already have it on your frame. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's noon now. Should we rapid fire through these last couple questions, or
that's fine. Yeah, we can go ahead. Somebody asked also, what was the basic equation? It's called the Mifflin, Mifflin St. Jeor, Stjeor equation. Mifflin-St.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up. Okay, this next question. I'm feeling very weak and getting dark circles as I start carnivore. So what do I do?
If you're just starting out, that's very normal, right? I mean, you're probably going through not only just keto flu as your body's adapting to using fat as your main energy source, but also you're going through withdrawal and detox from all of the addictive foods and addictive carbohydrates that you were used to eating. And so it's not just your body adapting to a different energy usage and energy fuel, but it's also rebalancing the dopamine in your brain. Because remember, when you eat addictive foods, you literally are going to destroy the dopaminergic centers in your brain. You will have a destruction of the dopamine receptors called D2 receptors. And the more addictive behavior you've had, the more D2 destruction we see. And you can speed that up as you feel a little bit better. Now take it easy. Just drink electrolytes and fluids. So like bone broth is great, or take unsweetened electrolyte mixes with a lot of water. That's fantastic. That will help you for a few days. And then as you start getting better, then you want to start running or doing any kind of exercise that's intense. The more intense the exercise, the more it's going to regenerate those D2 receptors and regulate your brain and that dopaminergic center in your brain faster, so that you don't have to just wait until it happens naturally. You can expedite that process. Meditation helps a lot too. The more hours under your belt in meditation, the faster you're going to regenerate those dopamine receptors.
Okay. Let's see. I only want to lose 10 pounds. I've been carnivore for 14 months, no weight loss. I've been eating higher fat for energy, no weight loss. And I just want to add, I also have been carnivore for a year. In 2 days, it'll be a year. And I really didn't lose any weight either. I was doing it for other things, so I was fine. I was healing, whatever. And then I did high fat because then people said, well, that'll make you lose weight. Well, that didn't make me lose weight either. So I've definitely found and practiced what you're saying. Like I have had to decrease fat a little bit and definitely make sure I'm in a calorie deficit. And then I started losing weight. So, I mean, everything I've experienced is exactly what you're saying.
You're just not having a caloric deficit, period. That's the answer. Yeah, we're going to save the video. Don't worry. I'll post it on my YouTube channel as well. And I think, Jennifer, are you going to post it on your YouTube? Fantastic.
I will, yes.
Yeah.
You can find
What?
Okay. They'll find it everywhere. My YouTube, your YouTube. If you make me a collaborator on this Instagram, I can put it on my page. And so if you have more questions when we're done, and you put them in the comments, we can try to get to those there. And then let's see, 2 more questions. Is it best to eat before or after training? And what do you do? Like what should you eat around?
So there's no one size fits all. You know, if you wake up and you're hungry and you try not to eat so that you can work out, your workout is not going to be that great. You're not going to progress in your fitness. And that's, for the long term, that's not the best approach. So when you're hungry, eat. Don't force it. If you wake up and you're not hungry, then yeah, you can work out and then eat right after, you know, but there's no real, you know, the issue there. Just, you know, just pay attention to if you have digestive issues, and if you're eating and right after you're working out, it can mess up your digestion, and over time you'll have maldigestion, which is not something good. So leave at least an hour to 2 hours be in between eating a meal and working out.
And I personally do best when I have protein before or after my workout, as opposed to a bunch of fat. Do you have any?
For me, I try not to work out before I try not to eat before I work out, or I'll have, let's say, just a regular meal, whether it's a ribeye, whether it's, let's say, a ribeye, okay, and then I won't work out until 2 hours later, and I'm fine. I don't really have any preference whether it's protein or fat, as long as I eat something, a whole food thing, and I'm focused on that, I'm good.
Okay. And then this last question, 29 years old, recently diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. Any suggestions for healing ulcerative colitis? You should be able to answer that question.
Just go in a carnivore diet, huh?
Not inflammatory, there's no fiber, so it's not inflaming your bowels. I mean, yeah, absolutely, just go carnivore. And there's so many people like oh my gosh, Josie, what is her do you know Josie? She was a vegan, and her name is something to do with
the explant eater
or something like that. The explant eater, check her out. She's healed from ulcerative colitis on a carnivore diet. She actually got the ulcerative colitis as a vegan, so she's full of very valuable
would start off doing an animal, just doing a carnivore diet, and then if you don't get fast relief, then just do a lion diet. Stick with just beef, you know, salt and water.
Okay, those are great questions, and honestly, more than any live I've ever done, I learned so much from your answers. I'm gonna go back and watch this myself. So thank you so much for that. And to those of you in the comments who said congratulations on your 1-year carniversary, thank you so much. There people like Dr. Zaldivar are people that I look up to so much, and you've helped me so much along this last year, and I just thought it would be so fitting to be able to do a live video with you to celebrate, and I'm so grateful for your time.
Thank you
I just love
so much. Congratulations again, and I appreciate you, and I had a blast with this live, so hopefully we'll do some more in the future. Thank you.
So much.
You too. Bye, everyone.